Hey guys, just want to do a quick video about a synchronicity I had with Meatloaf, and given his death a week or so ago here, just kind of interesting. I had this conversation with Bobby Simpson over text message back in June, and what's kind of interesting about it is one of the characters that Meatloaf played in the movie Fight Club, his name was Robert Paulson, and there's kind of a well-known, kind of famous scene in that movie where they keep repeating his name. His name is Robert Paulson, but it's played by Meatloaf. And reason that got me into this text conversation here with Bobby is in Fargo here where I live. I'm not making light of this at all. It's a tragedy, but we had a stabbing victim who was 14 years old. Her name was Jupiter Paulson, and her father's name was Robert. So it was Robert Paulson, and I had texted Bobby about this because it reminded me of the movie Fight Club. And it was on June 15th, 2021. So 6:15, the date 6:15, or it could be written like most of the world would write. June 15th would be 15/6 or 156. And when I texted Bobby, he had told me that on this day that Meatloaf was 911 lunar months old. And if you look at the date as 156, the 156th prime is 911. And then the date June 15th is like a 6:15. And Meatloaf died in Nashville, Tennessee, which is the 615 area code. So just kind of an interesting synchronicity with Meatloaf there back in June. And you can take a look at this text here, but this is kind of interesting given that this just happened. I mean, it was 7 months later, but interesting nonetheless. And another death that we just had recently, of course, was Bob Saget. And I had showed you guys in my last video, I told you guys that January 9th, 2022, we had a Venus pentagram point coming up on the 9th. And this would be the 4th of 5 pentagram points in the current 32nd pentagram since the United States was founded, but we had Bob Saget die in Orlando on this Venus pentagram point day. Now I have this much more information about this Bob Saget stuff. I just kind of want to introduce you to the basics here. Of course, Bob Saget is known most famously for Full House, and when I get a chance here, I'm going to be talking about kind of linking this to the Full House symbolism with this Jewish idea called the Chamber of the Guff, which is the treasury of the souls. And then this, we'll just read this real quick, but this to me, this is a symbolic representation of this Guff mythology with this Full House, and I'll get more into this when I get the full video done, but I just kind of want to introduce you to the idea here. But according to Jewish mythology, in the Garden of Eden, there is a tree of life, or the tree of souls, that blossoms and produces new souls which fall into the Guff, or the treasury of souls. Gabriel reaches into the treasury and takes out the first soul that comes into his hand. Then Layla, the angel of conception, watches over the embryo until it is born. And see here, in keeping with other Jewish legends that envision souls as bird-like, the Guff is sometimes described as a columbarium or birdhouse. And I just showed you guys in my last video too with this address of the One World Trade Center. was 285 Fulton Street. A millennium lunation 285 begins on the last day of the Chinese Tiger Year. And the word Fulton, the etymology means birdcage. So I think there's a connection there with this chamber of the Guff, or this Jewish mythology about the Guff and the treasury of souls. But I'll show you more here how this, real quick, how this Bob Saget, the death of Bob Saget kind of connects to World War and has a heavy Venus connection to it. And you'll understand the Venus connection when I get the rest of the video. It has to do with Taurus, and Venus rules Taurus. But so he died in Orlando, Florida on January 9th, and it said he was in room 962. And that day just happened to be (960) in one day after the declaration of war on Japan in World War II. And so that would be the exact beginning of the 962nd month since the declaration of war on Japan. So there's a World War connection there. And we're going to extend this out, and when I get to the full video, but we're going to extend this 962 out and take another look at Taurus and some other things that go along with it. But no coincidence that this Venus point was exactly the beginning of the 962nd month after the declaration of war on Japan. And of course, Bob Saget's most famous role, of course, is Daniel Ernest Tanner on the television series Full House. And if we look at the 4 base ciphers of this character he played, ordinal is 198, reduction is 81, Venus in ordinal is 81, and then reverse ordinal we have 288. And since we're talking about Venus and the pentagram points, 5 points times 288, that's 1440. That's the total minutes in a day. That's a time connection there. And then reversible reduction, 108, and it's the 108 moon, sun, earth ratio that we're told that makes the eclipses possible. So that's another interesting connection there, all with the 4 base ciphers of Daniel Ernest Tanner. There's the 108. There's our January 9th, our fourth out of 5 points here. And it's this whole ritual is all about these last 2 pentagram points, the 4th and 5th points of the 32nd pentagram. And also, when we're talking about Venus here, with all these connections to Venus, 81 Venus, 288, 5 times 288, 1440, but 198, if we look at that number 198, you can see the prime factorization here. That's the 1st prime, 2nd prime, 2nd prime, and 5th prime. So it's a 1225, and the magic square of Venus sums to 1225. And also, January 9th was a 1st quarter moon in lunation 1225. And 1225, you subtract 953 to get our millennium lunation. 272, I'd put a quick, just a post on my community posts on my YouTube page about this millennium lunation 272. I've been kind of watching for it because we had January 17th, the full wolf moon. I have a whole set of slides that I had ready for the wolf moon, and I'm glad I waited. There's a lot of other connections that can be made here with this full moon, full wolf moon. And just, I'm going to go through this Bob Saget thing just separately, because there's some very, very interesting stuff here, especially connected to World War, Venus and Taurus, and the planet Mars. Huge ritual with Venus here, with all those connections to the magic square, lunation 1225, lunation 27, millennium lunation 272, and then we're going to talk about this mythology of the Guff. And I've also talked a lot about the actress Demi Moore with Bobby Simpson quite a bit, And there's this movie called The Seventh Sign that's all about this mythology of the Chamber of the Guff. So it's kind of interesting, but I'm going to get more into this. But Full House, I think, is a definite symbolic connection to this idea of the Guff and all the souls. The earth is full. We're in a full house, and all the souls need to be recalled back to the chamber so we can start over again. But we'll get more into that. And here's our pentagram. This is an old slide. One of the interesting things when you split the 404 verses of Revelation into the golden ratio, the closest approximation is 154 divided by 250, and the 154th verse just happens to be Revelation 9:11. When you split 404 into the closest approximation of the golden ratio, but we'll get more into that later. And also something that has to do with the moon in this lunation 1225 that we're in right now with the wolf moon. The Georgia Guidestones were completed on 3/22/1980. And if we go to the January 1st, 2022, you can see it's exactly 2,180 weeks. I don't have it up right here, but moon in Hebrew gematria sums to 218. So I think 2022, especially beginning February of 2022, beginning the Tiger year, it's going to be a pretty interesting year, I think. And like I said, this stuff with Bob Saget, very, very interesting ritual. So let's see, what else do I have here I could show you guys. I'll play the video real quick of Bob Saget talking. I think this is one of his last videos he did before he died. He has a podcast, but I'll let you listen to what he has to say here. He talks about planetary alignments and triangles. Obviously that has to do exactly with the Venus pentagram points, but
tied up. That could have been the 5 minutes where I missed my call with those legendary balls.
The planets aligned, and all three of us are talking. It's a miracle.
It's amazing that my daughter got involved with it like this and had the whole triangular conversation. So
yeah, so talking about planetary alignments, triangular conversations, just a super coded, super esoteric ritual here with this death of Bob Saget, the 962nd month after the declaration of war on Japan on this Venus pentagram point. But I'll get more into that very specific Venus and Taurus and Mars ritual here with Bob Saget. So, okay guys, just want to do a quick one. Thanks for watching.